Hello, Mr. Johnson. My name's Anne Palmley. With respect, how will you persuade the EU to give you what they have flatly refused to give to previous Prime Ministers? And why on earth would you, or anyone else for that matter, want this job now?
Right, okay. Well, when I flip that round and just give you the answer, I want this job so much because I have a deep sense of responsibility now to get this thing done and get it over the line. And to go to your first question, I've looked at what's been happening over the last 3 years, and I really have felt so weary and depressed sometimes by the lack of energy and the lack of confidence that we've brought to these negotiations. And I'm going to say the slight air of defeatism that seems to have enveloped us. And I think that what will make a big difference, is now obviously our friends and partners over the Channel know that the political context has changed. They know that after all, they now have 29 Brexit Party MEPs in Strasbourg. Believe me, they take the Euro Parliament very seriously. They're not going to want that that's the largest single contingent. They're not going to want that to continue for much longer. They have the incentive of the 39 billion. They want to get this thing done. And I really don't think in a month of Sundays that they are going to want to see a disorderly UK exit from the EU. Where two great civilized political entities, the UK and the EU, were going to come up with a deal that is manifestly in the interests of our constituents and of our businesses, and we can get it done. And the difference between me and perhaps of the previous incumbents is not only do I believe in it and understand the potential benefits of coming out, but I'm also willing to walk away if we don't get what we want. And if we don't, and I can tell you this, that is fate, and I don't think, as I say, I don't think in a month of Sundays that's going to be necessary. I really don't. We will get a fantastic deal, but so far they have not, I'm afraid, believed us. And they have not believed, actually, that, I don't think they've understood what we want, and they haven't understood whether we actually want to come out of the customs union and out of the single market, or what shape of a new relationship we want. I think most people actually can see that if you're going to come out of the EU, you need to get a deal that allows you to take advantage of Brexit and do free trade deals and allow your regulation to diverge where necessary, and to make improvements in social or environmental law if that is what you want to do. And I think most people understand there's no point in staying or coming out of the EU and staying run by the EU. That's totally crazy. That's the worst of both worlds. And the risk is that is what we'll end up with, and that is why I had to leave the cabinet and campaign for a better vision. But I think the most important thing is that our friends and partners haven't really been asked before whether they will accept this approach. It's never, funny enough, it's never really been tried. Because when you look at the backstop arrangements, we were really the authors of our own self-incarceration. We came up with the whole thing. There's now a new approach, or I hope there will be a new approach, and we'll get it done.
But you've imposed this hard deadline of October the 31st and guaranteed that we will be out by then. Why do you think that you would be better placed to negotiate a deal with the EU than your opponent? And who are you actually going to be negotiating with? Because Michel Barnier's team has been disbanded. The EU goes on holiday for the whole of August. The new Commission doesn't come in until the 1st of November. Well, how will you do it?
There are plenty, believe it or not, there are plenty of people in national governments in the EU who remain very, very keen to sort this thing out as fast as possible. They're not all on the beach at the same time. There is no reason at all why we can't get our points over very, very fast. And as for, you say I'm imposing a hard deadline of October the 31st. Well, what kind of deadline do you want me to impose? A papier-mâché deadline, a plasticine deadline, a fake deadline? Honestly, there is no point in approaching this thing with anything less than robustness and determination. People need to understand that The people of the United Kingdom were asked a very simple question. It was right to ask them that question after 45 years or 43 years, because it went to their sense, our sense of identity, of whether we believed in the way the EU was developing, whether we thought of ourselves as being part of that tightly integrated federal structure, or whether we thought there could be an alternative global future by coming out. The British people voted to leave. And it was and considering the range of forces that were arguing in the other sense, it was a decisive vote, a really decisive vote. And Parliament said that it would enact the will of the people. That's what we said. We passed Article 50. Overwhelming majority of MPs passed Article 50. How can we now turn around and say that the project has been cancelled without a catastrophic loss of confidence in politics? Our party, believe me, our party will not recover unless and until we get this thing done. I'm absolutely certain of that.